What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Rene, with Prison Riot Radio. Right now, I'm talking to somebody with an amazing story. His name is Anthony Wilson, but he goes by Tony Wolf. How you doing, Mr. Tony Wolf?
I'm doing great this morning, and glad that you having me on your show this morning.
For sure, it's a pleasure to have you. You know what I mean. So we're going to get right into it. So when I say you have an amazing story, I don't think people are really going to understand until you talk more about it. So you were formerly incarcerated. Tell us a little bit about how long you were down and how you ended up with your freedom.
Yes, about 30 years ago, I was wrongly convicted for a murder that I didn't commit. And I worked on my case trying to prove my innocence, but the Prince George's County Police Department was standing in my way. They wouldn't give me what they call my police files. They kept saying that the files were destroyed. They didn't exist. So, I stayed persistent and diligent in trying to show that I wasn't the one who did this charge, this crime. And so in 2006, we hired a private investigator, and lo and behold, the private investigator obtained my police files, the files that they said didn't exist only 3 years after my conviction.
Right.
And so I studied the law while I was in. I didn't become a jailhouse lawyer, even though a lot of the guys wanted me to work on their cases. But I always told those guys, you got to go to the law library and learn those things for yourself. And so once I got my files and I looked through it, I discovered what they call Brady material. Yeah, for those who in the law, they know what Brady is. But for those who don't, Brady is material that actually excludes you from the crime that occurred, or is exculpatory, meaning that if some evidence that they was, pointing towards you or try to say that it was you, that evidence now has been refuted by something that they withheld. And so I got that. I did my own motion. It's called a pro se motion. Did a motion for new trial based on new discovered Brady material, and a judge gave me a hearing. And the state, even though they didn't want to acknowledge they wrong, they gave me what they call a compromise deal, where they said, if you withdraw your petition with prejudice, we'll go ahead and give you the deal to let you go. So I had already done almost 20 years, and I couldn't get the time back.
Right.
I already did the time. And so I had a lot of, friends who was telling me, nah, you need to fight this, man. You could sue them.
Right.
So, I ended up talking to the private investigator I hired, and she said, Tony, look, you can't get it back. No amount of money going to get your 20-something years back. So she said, go ahead and take the deal, and when you get home, you can start working on your case.
Right.
And that's where my story gets interesting.
Yeah, you saying where it gets interesting. It was interesting, from since you started talking. But I want to say, I hate that happened to you. There's many of our brothers and sisters that find themselves behind the G-wall and they haven't done anything wrong. You know what I mean? So for you to be able to get your freedom is an amazing thing, How did you stay motivated during that time?
Well, when you know that you're innocent, actually, and then you basically fighting. So I fought from day one.
Right.
So that's always been my drive and my motivation. And so when I finally came home, and I started helping other guys come home, because I didn't get into a lengthy aspects of what I used to do when I was incarcerated, but a lot of the guys used to look at me as one of those individuals who stayed constantly in the law library, stayed constantly reading law.
Right.
I used to teach what they call constitutionality classes, where I would teach those guys about their amendments and what the law required, and what your lawyer didn't do right, what the judge should have done. So I came home, and I really wasn't looking towards, getting into that. I just wanted to get my life back on track,
Right.
And so guys started calling me. It was like, man, we need help, man. So you was a motivator. I was like, man, what y'all want me to do?
Right.
They said, man, we need your help. So I started helping guys out.
Mm-hmm.
So when they had court hearings, I would come to court. I would, speak to the judge on their behalf based on who I knew, what I knew about them as a character when I was in.
Right.
And so one of the lawyers had saw my work, and he was like, "Man, you know your stuff." And he was like, "Man, you need to go get your papers." And I was like, "My papers?" And I didn't know what he was talking about, but he was basically telling me to go get certified as a paralegal so I could do it legitimately.
Right.
And so Howard University just so happened at that time was offering what they call a paralegal certification course. Okay. And everybody know Howard is a prestigious HBU.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so in order to get into that particular class, I had to do an essay. So those who were trying to get into that course, because they was only allowing 40 out of all the applicants that they was receiving. And I did an essay on my wrongful conviction. So the dean them called me in, and they was like, "Look, we're very impressed about your essay, your wrongful conviction. So we're going to make an exception and allow you in to this class." And I went in there, I breezed through it. One of the professors, she had me actually tutoring two of the students in there, and because I knew what it was. And when I was finishing out the course, one of the professors called me in, and she just had a talk with me, and she said, "Look, you know your stuff." She said, don't work for a law firm. She said, contract yourself out and be a freelancer paralegal, because you're not going to get your worth if you work for a firm. Right. So that's where the great injustice came at. So I started a consulting service called the Great Injustice Paralegal Consulting Services. And our motto was, we took the scale for the innocent and wrongly convicted. And that's where I started working on cases. So my story goes on and on and on.
Definitely. Yeah, you hit the ground running. It's definitely appreciated that you gave back and are helping others with their cases. Like, that is like so dope. Like, for real, we need more people like you. So speaking of hitting the ground running, tell us more about the Fresh program. Like, what's that?
So when I was helping guys come home, I recognized that a lot of guys didn't have resources. They didn't have family members because they have done maybe 30, 40 years. And so family members and friends that either left or passed away. So they was like, "Man, I'm home, but I don't have nothing. I don't know what to do." So I was inspired through I always say God to start a program called Fresh. And Fresh acronym stands for Fully Restoring Every Son's Hope. And so what we started doing was we started helping those who coming home from a long term of incarceration to transition back into society. So we were basically helping them get jobs. We gave them clothes. We helped them get their Social Security.
We helped them fresh.
We were showing them everything that they was entitled to that the government doesn't tell you.
Right.
And so what I found out is that the people who are supposed to be helping the return to citizen transition are the ones that are hindering them and causing them to recidivate. And that's the agents, the parole agents.
Right.
And so I started hearing a lot about the parole agents are making it hard on the guys that are coming home, because now you home after doing all this time, and now they want you to come piss once a week, pay for your analysis, get a job, find a place to live. They telling you all these restrictions, but you don't even have nothing. And so I started helping them out. And so I started a business called Many Faces Buffing and Cleaning Service, and that business catered to nothing but returning citizens.
Okay.
Yeah, but what we found out with the Fresh program when we was doing our intake and our evaluations, that most of the people who come home, they want a little money in their pocket until they get on their feet or get where they need to go. And so when you working for a cleaning company, that's not what you want to do. So most of the people that came out, they will work for my company for maybe 2 to 3 checks, and then that was it. And so I had to revamp and revise, and I started talking to my team. I said, what we got to do now, we got to find out what people's niches are. And so that's what we started doing. So when individuals came out, we'll find out what they wanted to do, if they received any type of trades or any apprenticeships while they were in, and then that's what we do. We'll find a job that meets their criteria, and then they're more prone to stay in it. And those guys who get into those job fields, they're usually there for years. So instead of being 1 or 2 months, they're there now 2 to 3, 4, 5 years.
Right, right. See, that is so dope. You that's very innovative. Like, you changed with and tweaked it where you needed to. That's really awesome. We appreciate you for that as well.
Yeah.
All right, so the things that you've done haven't stopped there. You've been a very, very busy man, you know what I mean, since you hit the ground. So you've gotten into writing, into being an author. So tell us more about that.
All right, so now the first book I ever wrote, even though it's not on the criminal justice field, it dealt with relationships. And so everybody was trying to figure out, how is Anthony Wilson, but then my writer name is Tony Wolf, and everybody loves the name Tony Wolf.
Okay,
how are you able to write a book and you don't even be in no relationships? And I said, the book wasn't written about me.
Right.
The book was written on other people's experiences. So I had a lot of female friends who would call me and just tell me these stories about these guys who they would just continuously love as they was being hurt. And I was like, how can you be with, I'm like, where they do that at? You know, and so I was feeling drained at one time, and I kept saying, why am I feeling drained? And I realized that all the women were pulling from me because of my positive energy. And then, so I said, you know what? The spirit came to me and said, I overeat. So I wrote a book called Learn to Use Your I Over Your E Regarding Relationships. When I first wrote the book, all my male buddies thought I was doing a Steve Harvey, that I was going to tell all the secrets and all that. I said, nah, man, you about to do a Steve Harvey? That's not what I'm doing.
Right. And
so I gave it to a few of my male buddies, and man, they came back with great reviews. They said, Tony, this thing right here, man, I like this. Right. And so it was geared to women, but it helps all those in regards to decision-making processes. Okay. And so I did that, and it went off. I had my book signing, and people still call me. They always ask me when I'm going to do events, because before the pandemic, I used to do maybe 3 workshops or seminars or relationship shows, like 3 times a year. So I get women to come out, they be able to discuss things and basically try to find a better way to deal with your relationship issues. Right. Yeah. And so now in the criminal justice field, I got 2 books that I'm finishing up now. One of the books is called The Great Injustice, Business as Usual. And I'll just do a little snippet, but I'm not going to say all of it. But the book is based on corruption in the judicial system and how the state's attorneys, the judges, and the lawyers should be the ones in prison and not the defendants who are represented or tried, or sentenced by those individuals. And my second book is called A Felon Freed Me. So The Felon Freed Me, it just came about because I was helping all these people get out of prison, but nobody really knew that, only the individuals who I were helping. Right. And then I said, you know what? I need to do a book about my story. Yes. And so that's what I did. So I've been doing interviews with the guys who I've helped get home. I did like 3 actual exoneration cases where the guys, were proved to be actually innocent. And they're actually now about to receive Maryland, and so that's me. I'm just a hidden figure on that, and I just love what I do, helping those guys. Right.
Well, we love that you love doing it, and we love that you are doing it, yo. Like I was saying, your story is amazing. I know that we could probably keep talking, but I don't want to hold up too much of your time. But I want to thank you sincerely for the things that you give back to society. Like I was saying, we need more like you. What's a word that you would give somebody that's behind the G-Wall or just got home? Just something to motivate them, keep them going.
Well, when I was in, when people used to always say, "What's up, Tony Wolf?" I'd be like, "Getting out of jail." "What's up, Tony Wolf?" "Going home." "What's up, Tony Wolf?" "Working on my case." Right. So with that, it was about your actions. And I always tell anybody that's in prison, remain faithful. Your faith is what's going to keep you strong and keep you vibrant, keeping you hopeful and believing that one day I'm going to get up out of this place.
Right.
Because once you lose that hope, that's a done deal.
For sure. Well, we appreciate you. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for sitting down with me in Prison Riot Radio. Much accolades and appreciation to you, my brother.
All right, no problem. And if anybody want to contact me, they can find me on thegreatinjustice.com. Thegreatinjustice.com.
All right, I'll make sure that I put that down in the description box so they'll have it.
Okay, I appreciate you for having me. Whenever you need me, call me.
All right, for sure. This is J. Rene with Prison Riot Radio.